Andhenaiva niyamana yathandha. As the blind being led by the blind. That is the case with these name websites by and large, and people who trust on them. So Sanvi, one of the popular names these days, it is said it's the name of Lakshmi. There is no such word in Sanskrit. Avir. So Veer means brave, Veer Savarkar. Avir means somebody who's not brave. Avir means unmanly. These are all entries from Monier Williams. Unmanly, effeminate, coward, without a son or without any help. These are the meanings of Avir. And people actually claim it means brave or a peace warrior. This is what the websites claim. You can't go wrong with this hack. Just pick up Vishnu Sahasranama for a boy and Lalita Sahasranama for a girl. Take a good publication and pick up a name from there. We cannot go wrong. Good afternoon, everybody. So this talk would be especially useful for parents and those who are about to become parents or whose family have somebody in the family way. I will briefly tell you why I'm speaking here today. I'll talk about historical names in our country, Bharata. I'll talk about modern quote-unquote Sanskrit names, how some of the disastrous Sanskrit names or so-called Sanskrit names end up being given to children. And the main section of this talk is how not to name your child. Ideally, a talk should be how to name your child, right? You teach people about how to play chess. But then if a lot of people play chess and they play miserably, then a book is needed how not to play chess. So if a lot of people are giving names which are funny or ludicrous or don't make sense, then a talk like this is necessary, how not to name your child. So that's the main section of the talk. And then there's a small section on how to name your child or what you can do. So we'll come to that later, and then we'll open this for questions. All right, so why this talk? 4 pictures worth 4,000 words. So I'm essentially fighting the disease of misinformation, which makes a child say, what do you mean my facts are wrong? I copied everything from the internet. How can it be wrong? And then somebody saying, well, there was a link to a website, right? So on that web page, there was a link, there was a citation. So it has to be true. I saw it on Facebook. It has to be true. Or, it's on the internet, so it's true. So that's why when I started writing about names, this was on Facebook and Twitter about a year ago. I had met with so many people who were misinformed, so badly misinformed that I decided that something should be done about it. So that's why I started writing, and then people took notice. Swarajya magazine did a story on it, and then I got invited for this talk. So what brings me here is misinformation, nothing else. There's no drive. So look, I'm not driven in this cause like, if I were curing cancer or scaling the Mount Everest or studying Sanskrit or doing Swadhyay. No, there's no passion for this cause. I'm just simply fighting misinformation. That's all. That is what brings me here, and hopefully that will help dispel some misinformation out there. Now let's begin with how names used to be in Bharata a long time ago. There is a mantra in the Rig Veda Samhita which talks about 4 names, and it says Turiyam Nama. Turiya, as you know, is fourth. The fourth state of consciousness is called Turiya Avastha. So Turiyam means fourth, and what the Rishi says is that when we give the 4th name, the Yajna or Yajniya name, they talk about when we are giving the 4th name to a child. So Sayanacharya, the great scholar who commented on all the 4 Vedic Samhitas, he explains that the first name is the Nakshatra Nama. Nakshatra Nama, Guhyam Nama, Prakasham Nameti Trini Namani. The first name of the child was the Nakshatra Nama. It was based on the Nakshatra, and even today you have that tradition of giving names as per the Janma Nakshatra. The second name was Guhya Nama, or a secret name. This name was known only to the parents. only to the parents. So this was like a very personal name, जैसे घर में बुलाते हैं, you know, the name only for use by the parents and close family. The third name was the Prakasham Nama. Prakash means manifest, or, you know, which is visible. So this was the name which was known to everybody. They had two names. One was a nakshatra name, one was a public name or a Prakash name. And the fourth name, Sayanacharya says, is like Somayaji. You have people name with the last name Somayaji even today. Nilakantha Somayaji was a great astronomer in the Kerala school of mathematics. So in the Vedic Samhita, a mantra talks about 4 names of the same person, and mind you, these are all 4 personal names. These are not a surname or a patronym or a matronym. These are all 4 personal names. So in Vedic times, people had up to 4 names. And in the Puranas, you see many Sahasranamas, Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, or Shiva Sahasranama. So from the Vedic times, people had 4 names. In the Puranas, we have thousands of names of deity. And Bharat is a land which had a very rich culture of naming. We had several types of names. For example, we had a given name. Now there is another mantra in the Rig Veda which talks about 3 names of the same person. It's Trasadasyu, Paurukutsa, Gairikshita. 3 names of the same person. And these are 3 types of names. The given name, Trasadasyu. He from whom the Dasyus have fear. He of whom the Dasyus are afraid. That is Trasadasyu. That was the given name of a person. Similarly, Rama, the hero of Ramayana, is a given name. Then people had patronyms, a name which meant son of such and such person. For example, Paurukutsa. So Trasadasyu is the son of Purukutsa, hence he's called Paurukutsa. And Rama, as you know, is the son of Dasharatha, so his name is Dasharathi. That's the patronym. Then people had another name which was the Gotra name. For example, Gairikshita or Vatsyayana. Vatsyayana means a descendant of Vatsa. Vatsasya Gotrapatyam. Vatsyayana. A descendant, not the son, but a later descendant of Vatsa is Vatsyayana. Similarly, Katyayani. Katyayani is the name of Durga, as you know. And Katyayani means she who's born in the lineage of Rishi Kata. So there's a Gotra name. And then they were also matronyms. So we had a society which took pride in its mothers. We had a society where the mother was considered greater than the father. And people were known by the name of their mother also. I think sometime back, I don't know when it was, but I believe some years ago when Indian team played a cricket match, they had their mother's name on the jersey or something like that. So we have that culture of being named after the mother. We have Sanjay Leela Bhansali, who takes pride in the fact that his middle name is from his mother, and we have had this for a long time. So Rama was also known as Kausalyeya, the son of Kausalya. Similarly, Shatrughna and Lakshmana were both known as Saumitra, son of Sumitra. So we had several types of names, and in the Grihya Sutras, there are elaborate rules given on how to give a name. Some of them are summarized as a name should have even number of syllables for a boy, so it could be 2, 4, or 6. For example, Daksha has 2 syllables. Brahmadatta has 4 syllables. And for girls, the recommended number of syllables was odd, 3 or 5. And then they also said how a name should start, what all it should contain, and how it should end. It was said in the Grihya Sutras, it is said that a name should start with a sonant or a voiced consonant. It should contain 1 semi-vowel, one or more semi-vowel sounds, for example, ya, ra, la, va. And it should end in a visarga or a long vowel sound. For example, my son's name is Niramaya. In Sanskrit, it would be Niramaya. 4 syllables, Ni, Ra, Ma, Yah. Begins with N, a sonant. ends in a visarga, ya. And my daughter's name is Nilaya. Odd number of syllables, 3, Nilaya. Starts with N, again a sonant, and both of them contain semivowels. Niramaya has R and Y, and Nilaya has Y. So if I were living in the times of the Grihya Sutras, my names would have been compliant, or you can say they're still compliant as per the Grihya Sutras. Interestingly, deity names were not used directly to give a name to a child. So people would not name somebody Shiva or Rama, but they would call the person Shivadatta, given by Shiva, or Devadatta. Devadatta is a very popular name in the Mahabhashyam, or Yajnadatta. We had a great polymath scholar. Unfortunately, not many Indians know about him. His name was Ambika Datta Vyasa. His name was Ambika Datta, given by the mother. Ambika, name of goddess, So deity names were usually not given directly, but somebody would say this is given, he as a boy or she as a girl is given by Rama or Shiva or a Deva. And then we come to Upapadas, or what we call surnames today, or what we call Upakhya or Upahava. The 4 Upapadas for the 4 Varnas: Sharman, Sharma; Varman, Varma; Gupta, and Dasa. These were added later. These were not there in the original. When the Grihya Sutras were written, these were not part of the name. And there's a very good paper by Mahamahopadhyaya P.V. Kane, naming a child or a person, in the Indian Historical Quarterly. So anybody interested in more details, the scholarly details, can refer to this publication. It's a very, very informative publication. And in fact, a lot of the material on this slide is from this publication. So that was how names used to be, but now times are changing. So what do we see now? What do I see? I see there is a general trend of Sanskritization of names in the past 2 or 3 generations. And you can see this in names of some of the prominent political families of India. So now it's difficult to find somebody who will be given the name like Lalu or Rabdi, which was the norm in parts of India 2 or 3 generations ago. So the next generation is named Tej Pratap or Tejashwi. We also have a Misa, but we'll not talk about that now. And then Devegowda and Chennamma, the types of names we had in the south. The next generation is Kumaraswamy and Anita, and next generation is Nikhil. So now, we had the Vice President B.D. Jatti, Basappa, Danappa Jatti. It's difficult to find such names being given to children now. So there is a general trend of Sanskritization in the past 2 or 3 generations, especially among Hindus. And more people want Sanskrit names for their children. Of late, some parents are also moving to exotic names, or Arabic, Persian, or Greek names. However, they still have a need of a Sanskrit connection. So even if they give an Arabic name or a Persian name or a Greek name, they like to believe that it has a meaning in Sanskrit. And I've come across many such people in my interactions. Yes, it may be an Arabic word, but doesn't it have this meaning in Sanskrit? So there's a need to identify, or there's a feel-good factor about it. So whether they are going for Sanskrit names or exotic names from Arabic, Persian, or Greek, they have a feel-good factor about if the name has a meaning in Sanskrit. So there's an example. Harun is a famous Arabic name. It was the name of one of the Khalifas. And this astrology website, ProKerala, it's one of the most popular websites in India. On Alexa, it ranks among the top few thousands in the world. And it says it's a Sanskrit word meaning hope, which is completely false. But there you go. An Arabic name is also given a Sanskrit meaning. And what I also see is that nuclear families rarely these days have ready access to gurus and to pundits of Sanskrit. So what they do is they try the easiest method, which is to turn to the internet. We turn to all sorts of sources, we turn to the internet, and such sources, unfortunately, very unfortunately, are full of all sorts of misinformation, as we showed on one of the previous slides, where you had a horse and a shark together, and I saw it on the internet, so it must be true. And well, I'm an IIM grad, so there's nothing wrong in saying this. Even IIT IIM grads are falling in this trap, and they have the best education, they are smart, but when it comes to baby names, somehow they seem to trust everything on the internet. So that's how times are today. And I'll talk about some of the modern Sanskrit names. So before we start about names, let me just have something to say about the pronunciation, the way we pronounce and spell our names. A lot of them are wrongly pronounced and spelled. Some of these are linguistic reasons. Some of these are because of other reasons. So schwa deletion, as you know, the name is Rama, not Rama, not Ram, but Rama. And in the Adhyatma Ramayanam, as you would know, Valmiki is given the mantra Mara Mara. So he says Mara 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 Mara, and that becomes Rama 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 Rama. So if somebody asks me how to pronounce Rama, I say Mara 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 Mara, and you'll end up saying Rama Rama Rama. Now, because of schwa deletion phenomenon in a lot of northern and western Indian languages, it's ubiquitously pronounced as Ram and even spelt as Ram. But now I see that this is also creeping its way in the east and the south. So if you see the Hindu editor N Ram, he spells his name as N-R-A-M, not R-A-M-A, whereas in the olden days, people in the south would usually spell it as R-A-M-A. So this is on the rise. This is still okay. We have historical linguistic reasons for it. So the way it's pronounced in Hindi or Marathi or Bengali, that's how they spell it, fine. A phenomenon I see is a lot of people have Sanskrit names which have the P sound, and they are spelt and pronounced as F. Somehow it makes us feel more civilized if we have the F pronunciation. So not blaming anybody, but we just see some of the popular names. So Shephali is the Sanskrit word. It's a popular name. If you search on LinkedIn, you'll see 8,500 results with the F spelling, and only 400 with the PH spelling, which is correct because it's Shephali. That's a name. Similarly, Prafulla. The Hindi word Phool comes from Phulla. So if somebody says फूलों का तारों का सबका कहना है, फूलों का नहीं. It's if you say फूलों का कहना, it's like fools, So फूलों का कहना है. So the name is Prafulla, but nobody uses the PH spelling. It's all F. And similarly, we have the Jh sound being spelt as Z or Z, as they say in the US. So you have a name called Jhankar, which means jingling or clanking. And the number of spellings are, well, in this case, it's still JH is more. In Maharashtra and Gujarat, a name that's popular among girls is Jhalak. Means a glimpse. You have this show called Jhalak Dikhla Ja, a dance show, right? So, but it's spelled Z-A-L-A-K by many people, Zalak. So, we are not even spelling them properly. And then the pronunciation of Anuswara is also wrong. So, in the south, if you see, in fact, if you see the name of the author of Autobiography of a Yogi, it is spelled Paramahamsa, H-A-M-S-A. That's how it should be spelled. But you more or less, we spell it as H-A-N-S. So some comments on spelling and pronunciation, and even brands. So it is actually, the word is Safal, which means successful, but we can't spell it correctly, we can't pronounce it correctly, and it's Safal. And somehow we feel very polished about saying Safal. And if somebody says Safal, I don't know. Some people look down upon them, that this must be a rustic man saying Safal. Can't say Safal. No, it is Safal. It is Safal. Now, we're talking about gender abuse. Say no to gender abuse. Yes, absolutely. Say no to gender abuse everywhere, including in names. If we want Sanskrit names, then let's not abuse the gender in Sanskrit. That's one of my requests. I see many masculine Sanskrit words are used as names for girls. We have Garima, we have Mahima, we have Madhurima. These are all masculine words in Sanskrit. The suffix there is imanich. So, yes, they are used, but in Sanskrit, the word is masculine. So, as from a Sanskrit point of view, it is not correct. Then we have words like nidhi, vidhi, samadhi. Well, I know people, and some people in my close friends and family circle are also have these names. So there's nothing personal here, but I'm just saying these words are masculine in Sanskrit. That's why you have, a person named Karunanidhi. Nidhi is a masculine word, and Karunanidhi means somebody who's full of karuna, who's full of compassion. Nidhi means treasure or, a board. And we have Kalanidhi Maran. So Nidhi being a masculine word, Kalanidhi and Karunanidhi and even Srinidhi make perfect sense as names for men. But somehow Nidhi is almost entirely used for women only. Now, these words end in dhi and also do riddhi, samriddhi, but they are feminine because the suffix there is different. So one cannot, blindly say that something that ends in this sound or this consonant would be masculine or feminine. It depends on what the suffix is. Then we see words like Tejasvi, Manasvi, Yashasvi. These are masculine in Sanskrit. So we have Tejasvi Surya, a young member of parliament from Bangalore. Tejasvi is a man or is a boy. The feminine version would be Tejasvini, and similarly Manasvini or Yashasvini. But we see Tejasvi as a name for girls also. Similarly, Manasvi and Yashasvi as a name for girls and women also. Kiran is masculine in Sanskrit. We see Kiran More, but we also see Kiran Bedi and Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. So, we have quite a lot of gender abuse, quote unquote, in modern names. Many neuter words are used as names for boys. So we have Vyoma, Akasha, Ambara. All these words are neuter in Sanskrit. If somebody comes to me, people come to me for checking the gender of the name also. And I say, if I come across such a suggestion, I say, look, this is neuter. It's your decision. It's a neuter word in Sanskrit. If you want to modify it to masculine word, you can easily change it, say, to Vyomakesh, which is a name of Shiva. Similarly, Akashadeepa, which is a masculine word in Sanskrit. And sometimes people change a feminine word and make it a name of a boy. For example, Ishika. It's a Sanskrit word which has three meanings. The eye of an elephant, a reed which was used to write earlier. So we had reed pens and reed calligraphy, and a type of grass. In the Mahabharata, Ashwatthama makes an arrow from an Ishika grass, Ishika blade. So that's a feminine word, but then people change it to Ishika and say, okay, I'll use it as the name of a boy. We'll come to such an example. Similarly, Tejas and Ojas, very popular names, especially in Gujarat. Tejas and Ojas are both neuter in Sanskrit. Can be easily modified to Tejasvi or Ojasvi, which would be masculine, and Tejasvini, Ojasvini would be feminine. Sampat is a name, I know people with the name Sampat who are men, and Sampat is actually a feminine word in Sanskrit. So that's one phenomenon we see. And then people think a lot of names are Sanskrit names. They are actually not. People have names Tejendra, Tejesh, which are Prakritized version, but not Sanskrit. Similarly, Ashish and Manish, there are actually no such words in Sanskrit. Ashis is a feminine word. I would recommend Ashishika, which means somebody who has Ashish. And similarly, Manisha is a feminine word. There is no such word as Manisha. Manishi means somebody with Manisha, somebody who is a sage. One of the names I see is Aikantika, and people say it means somebody who's devoted to one person. I knew a person named Aikantika. There is no such word. The correct word is Aikantiki, which means something that's absolute or necessary. And our foundation, Srijan. There are 7,500 people on LinkedIn with this name. It's not a word in Sanskrit. So the correct word is Sarjana. It is neuter, though. So, in fact, Srijan is closer to the Prakritized version. You know, they say Sirjan, Sirjanhar, somebody who creates. So it can be considered a Prakrit name. It's not a Sanskrit name. So out of courtesy, I thought I'll let the foundation know. So, Beti Bachao. Beti ko in naamon se bachao. So, yeah, all sorts of modern names which have no meaning or a ridiculous meaning in Sanskrit. And people have claimed all sorts of meanings. And most of these are people I have come across in life, or either in real life or on social media, who have said, oh, I know somebody who's named this, or my name is this. So Sanvi, one of the popular names these days, it is said it's the name of Lakshmi. There is no such word in Sanskrit. Ishanvi, people claim it to be a name of Parvati. No such word. It's either Ishana or Ishani. Shanaya, from the very sound of it, sounds foreign to me, but there are people who claim on the internet it means the first ray of sun in Sanskrit. There is no such word. Somebody asked me, I think Swati Goyal Sharma asked me, does it have a meaning in Sanskrit? I said, I can attempt, you know. Shana means slow, Aya means income, so somebody who earns very slowly is Shanaya, but that's an attempted meaning. Similarly, Anaisha, somebody asked me, what does Anaisha mean? I said, there is no such word in Sanskrit. Nisha means the night, so Naish means nocturnal. Anaish means diurnal, somebody who comes out in a day, but the feminine would be Anaishi, not Anaisha. Similarly, Sumira, Sumira, name of Lakshmi. And I'm surprised how people cook up these meanings, and it's invariably either Lakshmi or Parvati or the first ray of the sun. One of these three. Similarly, Aira, there is no such word. People say it means Saraswati. Ira is a word. So we have Iravan and Airavata. Ira means the ocean or water. So Aira means something that comes from ocean or water. And so you can have Airi. That's as per the Sanskrit grammatical rules, it would be Airi, which could mean found in water or found in the born on the earth. So you can say it can refer to Lakshmi or Sita if used in a Arsh Grantha or an authoritative work, but Aira, there is no such word. Now, why are we biased towards Beti? Beta bhi bachao. So, you know, we have to save our male children also. Bete ko in naamon se bachao. Vivan, that's one of the famous names these days. Almost every third person in a class would be named Vivan. And people say it means Lord Krishna, rays of morning sun. For a change, it happens to be a word in Sanskrit. It's used in the Shrauta Sutras. I think the Latyayana Shrauta Sutra, if I remember correctly. And it's used, the word comes from the root vain, which means to weave. And it refers to a woven chair or a woven stool. So it actually means a muda. It doesn't mean Lord Krishna, doesn't mean rays of morning sun. I'm sorry. Arava, this has become popular since Akshay Kumar played a character with this name in the movie Blue. And then he also named his son Arav. So, you know, somebody told me that in India, people learn Hindi from Amitabh Bachchan. I can say they also learn how to name their children from Akshay Kumar and, you know, Kareena Kapoor Khan and others. So Arav is a very popular name these days. If you ask people or look up the name website, they say it means peaceful or in high regard of. It is a Sanskrit word. It means a howling cry. Rayansh, a ray of light, part of Vishnu, no such word. Harun, now it's this is something which happened in my office. One of my ex-colleagues who's an IIT and IIM graduate, he said, I'm considering naming my child Harun. I said, you know, it's an Arabic word, it's a Muslim name, it's a common name among Muslims. So do you know that? I just asked him. I have nothing personal against him, but do you know it's an Arabic name? And he said, no, but somebody said it also has a meaning in Sanskrit which means hope. And I said, you can't be serious. So I Googled and I found out, yes, it is the website prokerala.com, one of the most popular astrology websites, which says that the word Harun means hope in Sanskrit, which is completely wrong. Nivan, no meaning in Sanskrit, but there's a Hindi word called Nivan, which comes from Sanskrit Nimna, which refers to a low-lying area where water fills in during the rains and there's a swamp, and it means a swamp in Hindi. Kian, grace of God, royal, king, Lord Krishna. That's what name websites say. It means how much in Sanskrit. Kian, how much? Kiyati, how much? So, yeah, does it make sense as a name? Of course not. Atiksh. Now this is actually a different beast. Atiksh, you ask somebody, they'll actually believe it's a Sanskrit name. Atiksh sounds very Sanskrit. It's a ksha, it has a sound ksha, so it must be. But and people say it means wise, intelligent. I know a person who claimed in my presence that Atiksh means buddhiman. It means intelligent. There's actually no such word in Sanskrit. And finally, one of the most hilarious ones, Avir. So Veer means brave, Veer Savarkar. Avir means somebody who's not brave. Avir means unmanly. These are all entries from Monier Williams. Unmanly, effeminate, coward, without a son or without any help. These are the meanings of Avir. And people actually claim it means brave or a peace warrior. This is what the websites claim. Now, this is the amount of misinformation available on the internet, and people are getting misled. Yes, we can laugh about it, but it is a fact that people are getting misled. Smart people are getting misled, and even marketing managers are getting misled. If you bring out a jewelry brand for men and give it a name which means unmanly, if it happened with me, I would fire my marketing manager. Just joking, but this is Tata. This is not even some small business. This is Tata. This is Tanishq. So they have a jewelry brand for men, which means unmanly. So can it get any more ridiculous? I don't think so. Anyway, so we come to the section how not to name a child, how not to name your child. And these are some rules of thumb. Again, there's no science about it. This is not rocket science. It's just common sense. So, and I came up with these rules of thumb based on common sense only. So the first rule, don't change the gender of a Sanskrit word. This is a report from the Matrubhumi website. It's a publication in Kerala. I don't know if it's a newspaper or not. I think it's in both Malayalam and English. This is from the English website. And they have a great article which says baby names, these are unbeatable baby names. And then they have this example where a couple had planned a name for a baby girl. They settled on Ishika, which means the eyeball of an elephant or a reed or a type of grass. So because it means a reed, it also probably means a pen in Malayalam. So they were a literary family. They wanted a literary name. So they settled on Ishika. And they had a boy. So they said, okay, let's change it to Ishik. Please don't do this. There's no such word in Sanskrit. Don't change the gender of a name. No gender abuse, please. So I mentioned Ishika was used by Ashwatthama. That's a reference from the Mahabharata. Jagraha cha Sharaishikam Draunihi Savyena Panina. Drauni, son of Drona. Drauni is the patronymic name of Ashwatthama. Dronasyapathyam Puman iti Drauni. So here's an example of a name which we talked about earlier. And that is Sharaishikam. That means an arrow made of ishika, a type of grass. Second, don't try portmanteaus. Please don't. Often parents try a portmanteau of the name of the father and the mother, and sometimes they get meaningless results, sometimes they get horrible results. For example, and I'm not making this up, there is a name called Krishiv. Somebody came up with a combination of Krishna and Shiva and made it Krishiv with different spellings, and name websites claim it means Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva combined. It is a meaningless name. There is no such word in Sanskrit. Still probably okay. The next example is, well, I don't know what to say. This was shared by Professor K.S. Kannan on the Bharatiya Vidvat Parishad mailing list a few months ago from his real life. And he came across a person who was named Vandhya. And Professor Kannan actually asked, is it Vandhya? Because Vandya is a Sanskrit word which means somebody who is deserving worship or respect. Vandya, Vanditum Yogya Vandya. You know, we say Vande Mataram. So somebody who deserves Vandana is Vandya or Vandya if it's a female. So he asked, is it Vandya or Vandya? And she confirmed, no, it is the Mahaprana sound. It is Vandya. And Vandya, as you know, means a childless woman in Sanskrit. Now, why would somebody want to give such a name to a person? And it was a portmanteau of her parents' names, who were Vandan and Sandhya. So, this actually happened. And if you do want a portmanteau, if you know, if somebody in your family does want a portmanteau, then consult a scholar. It's not very difficult to find. I'll give you recent examples. A couple named Ashish and Ankita came to me recently and they said, we want a name which is a portmanteau of the two sounds. It's a combination, can it have both names, both parents' names? And I suggested, one of the options I suggested was Ashrita. So I added an R, Ankita, ITA from Ankita, ASH from Ashish, and put an R in between. And I made it Ashrita, which is a Sanskrit word, which means somebody who has taken shelter or somebody in whom people take shelter. So try the basic, try checking a dictionary or go to a scholar who would know Sanskrit. Don't blindly believe Google. So this is an actual screenshot from 16th of June for the name Ishanvi. Google for Ishanvi Sanskrit name meaning, and you see there's a featured snippet which Google shows, which has the wrong meaning, and also the first result and the second and the third results. And a lot of people do this. They just search for the meaning of a name on Google, and Google sources information from websites which are popular. Websites which are popular are usually name websites which have a lot of user-generated content, which is more often than not incorrect. And so Google shows up incorrect results, which are not to be trusted. Next, Wikipedia. So the Wikipedia kids are smarter than Google kids. You know, we believe on what Wikipedia says. We don't believe in Google, which is a notch higher. So, but then I say, don't trust Wikipedia, because except for protected articles, Wikipedia can be edited by anybody. This screenshot was taken on 1st of June for the article named Kiara Given Name. We have a famous actress by this name, I believe. And look at what it says. Hindi name Kiara meaning God's precious gift, which is completely wrong. There is no such word in Hindi. In fact, there's a word called Kyari. Kyari means, people would know, there's a Kyari mein paudhe lagate hain, right? So, but that's Kyari, that's not Kiara. So this is wrong. Wikipedia is not to be trusted. Now this happened with me. A parent came to me and said, I've named my daughter Rujula, and it's the name of Lakshmi. Can you confirm if it's true? And I said, where did you read it? And he said it was on Wikipedia. And I said, okay, let me check it out. And I looked at the article on Lakshmi for Wikipedia, which I believe would get at least a few thousand hits per day. If not a few thousand, then at least in the late hundreds. So Kiara is although a misleading name, this is something more misleading, because a parent who is apparently a worshipper of Lakshmi, or who wants to honor Lakshmi by giving Lakshmi's name to his daughter, is misled by Wikipedia into thinking that Rujula is one of the names of Lakshmi. Interestingly, you see there's a citation at the end of the sentence. You see the number 39 there. I looked up that citation, I bought that book, and the name was not there in the book. It was a book on 108 names of Lakshmi, and Rujula was not there in the book. So this is somebody writing some random content and people falling for it by trusting Wikipedia. Again, common sense. This is all common sense. This is not rocket science. This is just common sense. Completely avoid name websites. They are mushrooming all over the internet. You know, you have Hindu names, you have Kidpaw, Bachpan. There's a name website named Pitarau, a very good name for a name website. So they name their website very well, but the names that they contain are not as correct. Moon Astro, Hindu names, and all these are screenshots. You know, we have Vivan, we have Hotravahana is a name for Agni. Hotravahana means the carrier of oblations. Hotranam Vahana, Hotravahana. It is a masculine word. Agni is masculine in Sanskrit. Hindi mein Ag or Agni striling hai, but in Sanskrit, Agni is masculine. So Hotravahan is a name for a boy. It means Agni. And look at what this website says. It says it's a name for a girl. It means a celestial beauty. It's completely wrong. I can go on, but you know, there's an Upanishadic statement. It's present in two Upanishads. Andhenaiva niyamana yathandha. As the blind being led by the blind. That is the case with these name websites by and large, and people who trust on them. Don't blindly believe what is published as news. We had Hema Malini's daughter, Isha, who had a baby recently, and she said Miraya is her name. Radhya is when Krishna worships Radha, and Miraya means a devotee of Krishna. Well, both are wrong. Although Radhya is a Sanskrit word, Radhya means somebody who's deserving of aradhana or worship, or even something that is to be proved. Radha samsiddhau, Radhya. But Miraya, there is no such word in Sanskrit. And finally, and I have to say this with a lot of sadness, don't blindly believe name books also. And look at where we have come. We can't even believe books which have sold more than 50,000 copies on Penguin by Menaka Gandhi. And I'll give you 3 examples on a single page. So this is names, Sanskrit names with H, and in this book, when M stands for masculine or male, S stands for Sanskrit. So Menaka Gandhi says Hurditya means joyous or happy. There is no such word. Hulas, she says it's a Sanskrit word which means jubilation. This is also wrong. Hulas is the Hindi of Ullasa. It's the Prakrit form of Ullasa, which means jubilation. So Hulas is a Hindi word, it's not a Sanskrit word. And Hriman, Hri means modesty. Hri also means, so it has both positive and negative connotations. Modesty as in being modest, and modesty also in having shame. So Hriman means somebody who is modest or somebody who's ashamed. Hriman does not mean despair of sorrow or wealthy. In fact, I believe the word is Shriman, which was mistaken for Hriman, and Menaka Gandhi ended up writing this in a book. So there is misinformation. Please don't blindly believe name books. Now this is the book I mentioned, which had the name Rujula. I bought it to see if Rujula exists, and I saw this book. It's by Vijay, I forget the name of the author, Vijay Shankar, or not Vijay Shankar, some Vijay Kumar, I'm sorry. Vijay Kumar in his book says, well, he's giving the Chaturthyanta forms, Bhuvaneshwaryai Namaha, which is correct. But then he gives the name as Bhuvaneshwarya, which is not the right name. The right name is Bhuvaneshwari. We had this name. Bhuvaneshwari was one of the princesses in Rajasthan, if I remember correctly. Or Rajasthan or Kerala. So Bhuvaneshwari is the correct name. So what I'm essentially saying is, don't blindly believe content, and especially for parents or people in your family or friend circles who are expecting a child. Please advise them not to blindly believe this content and do some basic due diligence. So we come to the end, almost the end. Now we saw all these things about how not to name the child, how not to name your child. So how do we name children then? My best suggestion, my first recommendation is consult a Shrotriya Guru. A Shrotriya Guru or a Pandit of Sanskrit, in that order of preference. A Shrotriya Guru would know what's the right word, what word is suitable as a name, what is not suitable as a name, as a Rashi name or a Nakshatra name or a non-Nakshatra name. We have had both in our culture. And how to find a guru, which is very difficult to find, or a Sanskrit Pandit. A Sanskrit Pandit is actually not that difficult. Ask around. There is a publication called Inventory of Sanskrit Scholars. If we Google with just those 4 words, you'll get a PDF on the website of the Rashtriya Sanskrit Samsthan, if I'm not mistaken. And that PDF has at least thousands, I think 4,000 or 5,000 names with contact details, address, and in many cases phone numbers also of Sanskrit scholars. Or these days on Twitter also and social media, you find quite a few Sanskrit scholars. There is Venugopalan Shankaran, a very great Sanskrit scholar from Tamil Nadu. There is Balram Shukla, one of his students is here with us. Balram Shukla ji tweets at Achyut Ananta. There is Sampadananda Mishra, some of us know him. He tweets at Sampadananda. There is Samodacharya, who's a very great scholar of Sanskrit from Nepal. Reach out to them on Twitter, and there are many other names which I have not mentioned here just for the lack of space. But ask people who are teaching Sanskrit or who write Sanskrit poetry or books, and they'll be very happy to help you to validate a name or to give you some options. If this is not possible, then what I advise parents is the never go wrong hack. You can't go wrong with this hack. Just pick up Vishnu Sahasranama for a boy and Lalita Sahasranama for a girl. Take a good publication and pick up a name from there. We cannot go wrong. So take any of these Sahasranamas, and there are so many names in these Sahasranamas which are actually not common. The other day I was looking at Shiva Sahasranama and I found the name Vimukta. Mukta is a common name. You have Mukta, Muktesh and all. Vimukta, if you search on LinkedIn, there are hardly 5 or 10 results. You can understand it easily. Vimukta, you can pronounce it easily. Vimukta, Vimukti, especially liberated. It's a name of Shiva in the Shiva Sahasranama. Similarly, Atindra, names which are easy to pronounce, or Atindra and Vimukta. Nirama, the name Ram is very popular, which is explained as Ramante Yogino Yasmin. Ramante Yogino Asmin iti Ramaha, he in whom yogis take delight. And there's a very beautiful name of Shiva in the Shiva Sahasranama, which is Niramaha, which is explained as Nitaram Ramante Yogino Asmin iti Niramaha, in whom the yogis always take delight, is Nirama. Now Nirama, an easy to pronounce name from the Sahasranama. You'll find rare names, you'll find common names, easy to pronounce, not so easy to pronounce. And these are all beautiful names from the Vishnu Sahasranama or the Lalita Sahasranama or Shiva Sahasranama. You can easily buy publications from Gita Press or other publishers. There are many translations, English, Sanskrit, Hindi, and we cannot go wrong with this kind of approach. Buy a Sanskrit dictionary. That's what I recommend parents. Go for Aapte. Aapte is Sanskrit English or Sanskrit Hindi dictionary published by Motilal Banarsi Das, and I believe some other publications also. Costs something like 700-800 rupees hardbound, and do some due diligence. Just check up in a dictionary, or you can consult the digital editions on the University of Cologne website, which has digitized a lot many Sanskrit dictionaries. Cross-check any information you read on baby names. Some information is referenced, so it's easy to cross-check. Some information is not referenced at all. You cannot cross-check. So see if the content is transparent and verifiable. If somebody tells you about a name, if some website or something on social media, some post on social media talks about a baby name and gives its meaning, check if there is some transparency. Where is this word used? Is it in the Vishnu Sahasranama? Is it in the Mahabharata? Is it in one of the Vedic Samhitas? Or is it somewhere else in Kavya literature, in Kalidasa's works? Whether the original quotes are given or not, whether the meanings are given. So we can see if the information is just like you do, for medical advice. We don't trust any random medical advice on the internet. We see who is giving that advice, which website it is coming from, what is the kind of rigor and detail in that. And finally, question sources, if possible, especially on social media. I always welcome questions on my Facebook and Twitter feeds. If somebody has any questions on a name, I try to explain. Sometimes if I've not explained it well, or if I made a small mistake, I correct it, I acknowledge. So people sometimes do make mistakes. So do question if you have any doubts before blindly relying on a name. Now here's an example of the name Vimukta, which I mentioned. This is one of my recent personal consultations where what I explained was, this is a name which comes from Vi, which means especially, and Mukta, which means liberated. The different ways to parse it, where it is used, what's the concept, what verses mention this name, what does a commentary say. Now, the point of showing this is that this is an example, not the only example, but this is an example of verifiable content. If I put in original quotes, verse numbers, then that content can be cross-checked. But if you just read, on a name website that Hotravahan means celestial beauty and it's the name of a girl, there is no way a reader can cross-check that content. Well, where is it mentioned? Where does it say it means a celestial beauty? Is it in the Smritis or the Puranas or the Vedic Samhitas and so on? So that's the end of the presentation. Well, I do almost every day, I give a name suggestion on Facebook and Twitter. Sometimes I do it once or twice in a week, but I try to do it every day, these days especially. And you can find me on Facebook and Twitter. And I also do email consultation, which is not free, so I'm advertising here. That's my email address. You can email me there, and that's the end of the presentation. Okay. Thank you.